Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I'm your host, Rody John, and today we talk to Brick Savage. We talk all about getting into wrestling, being a second-generation wrestler, and the Texas wrestling scene. This is such a fun conversation with Brick. I saw him for the first time at a Revolver Pro show here in the DFW area, and I immediately knew I had to talk to that guy. So once you see him, especially in person, you see how big he is, you'll love it, and you'll definitely want to go see more. So before we get to that interview and conversation with him, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out twice a week. You get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out what's happening with your favorite podcast all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Brick Savage. I would like to welcome to the show Brick Savage. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So for people listening, kind of paint us a word picture. Where are you at? What's going on around you right now?
Right now, I'm relaxing in my little dungeon here. It's pitch black, and there's no sound and nothing happening here. It's just my place of zen. I get ready for the week, so preparing for the weekend. Right now, I don't have any shows this weekend coming up, but I think I pretty much done for the rest of the year, actually. I just had a two-show weekend here, one at Mount Ward Pro in Fort Worth Friday, and then TWF in Houston Saturday.
So where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Austin, Texas.
Okay. I have friends that actually live down in Austin, and they love it, but they also hate the traffic because it is awful.
It can get pretty bad, but it's not as bad as like that. So.
Oh, Houston, oh, yeah. Houston's the worst. I can't, no, okay. I would never.
It's awful, for sure.
Yeah. Now, is this your first time working for Matt Pro?
No, I've been with Matt Ward Pro over a year. Now
this
is pretty much a wrap-up of the year. Was this last show.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the first show at Martin House. I unfortunately have not made it out to any of the other ones yet, but I do like the way they produce their shows and the way they put it on, and it's a good change from the way everybody else puts on a wrestling show.
Yeah, and this past one was what they call the Hand of Fate tag team lottery. So the teams are getting chucked by random in a Hand of Fate lottery deal, and very interesting. Ended up being me and Damon McCullough at the last round. It was 3 rounds against End of the World Party. That was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting too.
Very nice. Where did they do the show at? Do you remember?
This was at Mart House Brewing. This one here.
Oh, they went back to Martin House. Nice. Okay.
Right.
I do love that brewery. It's so good. Now, what is your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
Wow, earliest memory. The one I know it's probably sooner, but the one that sticks out for me the most is the Scott Hall invasion to WCW. That was the one that sticks out the most. I know it was before that because I watched tons of stuff with Austin and Bret Hart a long time ago. The one that sticks out the most is the Scott Hall one. I think that was like the one that was like I started watching wrestling like vigorously a lot around that time.
Yeah, that one was so iconic because like he came down, no shirt, jean vest, jeans on, and just like hopped the rail and just walked in the ring. And I was like,
yeah.
No one gonna stop him? Because I feel like security should be able to stop this guy. No one could just walk down the ring and then just hop in. And then things were just. That was I feel like that was the initial. One of the initial shots for the Monday Night Wars. Obviously, the first Nitro, we got Lex Luger coming over where he was just with WWF, and then all of a sudden he's with WCW. They're in the Mall of America. Like that was the first shot of like, okay, now we got real competition here. And then the whole Scott Hall, and then Kevin Nash, and then
Hogan going heel, like that just took pro wrestling to like the next stratosphere.
Yeah, it was very. I mean, it was a really good time for wrestling for sure. And you know, my dad was a wrestler there too. So around that late '90s, early 2000s, stuff like that, it was a very interesting time for wrestling. And you didn't have social media like it is now.
Right.
So you know, the ins and outs of like certain stuff it's a lot more fun to be around because you didn't really exactly know what was happening per se. You could just like pop up on Instagram and be like, oh, well, this is Ty Hall signed this contract like months ago, blah, blah. He's probably does Philly. What you didn't see that kind of thing.
I do kind of miss those days of the pro wrestling where it was a surprise of like, oh man, I really don't know what's going to happen, so I have to tune in. But also nowadays, like, yeah, you want to catch it live, but even if you don't, you'll find out what happens literally within seconds from, like you said, Instagram or Twitter or whatever, because, you know, people are going to post it right away, or you'll get the GIF of it or the clip of it or whatever happens. But I do kind of miss those days of like, there's no real, I mean, there's rumors, but you don't really know them unless you're subscribed to like the Observer or whatever Wade Keller was doing. And so like, even then it was like, well, we're still not sure what exactly is going to happen. So I do kind of miss those days.
Yeah, look, you had somewhat of kayfabe still alive then, and I'm pretty big on trying to keep that together on my stuff and when I go places. But you know, it's really hard. It's a hard thing to do when everybody has access to the internet that snap of fingers. So.
Yeah. Now you kind of touched on how big the wrestling world, and that's when your fandom really kicked off. Do you feel like we are now in another big boom period, obviously, because we have AEW's killing it. You have guys not only coming from WWF or WWE over to AEW, but you also have them going back. Like you have the Cody Rhodes going back. The CM Punk thing, obviously he was fired, so, you know, him going back to WWE made sense. But and honestly, if you really look back, it doesn't make sense. That one's just all convoluted. But, you know, now you've got Edge, Adam Copeland coming over to AEW when you thought he was just going to retire, Sting actually going to retire in AEW. Like, do you feel that we are now in another giant boom period?
I'm not sure I would say so just yet. I mean, WWE has always been WWE, and they're always been on top there. And while there is the other places for competition, I don't feel like it's at the level of competition where you know, you could actually fight for it per se and have like the right amount of people, because there is a lot of younger talent in AEW that has the advantage over the future talent for WWE because of just the young roster they have, but they're not establishing the stars that they need to just yet. Like there's been runs of a couple of people, like they had a good Wardlow run for a second and cold turkey on that one. So like they've got stars they can make out of, but they're just not utilizing them very well. So I wouldn't say it's just a boom just yet, but you have to be like on a level playing field of like, okay, I have a Roman Reigns character here and I have a Roman Reigns character here, and they just don't have that comparison just yet. Right, so like you have like the NWO, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hogan over here. You've got Stone Cold, Rock, Undertaker over here. Right, you don't have those comparisons of like top level stars on each one just yet. There's good. They're great. Don't get me wrong. They're great wrestlers over at AEW. They're great wrestlers in Impact. There's great wrestlers in MLW. There's great wrestlers over at all these other places. But as far as like the level of superstar, yeah, you just don't have that at the moment. So.
No, it's fine. The headline, the clickbait for what you just said was WWE is the best and everybody else sucks. So
They don't suck. They just don't have.
No, I'm just kidding.
They're not utilizing those stars just yet. So.
No, I mean you're completely right. I mean, look what Keith Lee, Samoa Joe, like these guys that came over to AEW that had already been established, but what are they really doing? Yeah, Christian's killing it right now, and like he's on the top of his game. You know, and that storyline's doing great on its own. You know, he's kind of also helping Nick Wayne get bigger, and a good heel turn for him, Luchasaurus or Kill Switch or whatever you want to call him. That whole dynamic is going to switch, and they're building to it, and I think it's fantastic. But, you know, what is Sting really doing other than now he's announced he's retiring, and that's kind of it? What was really CM Punk was doing, he had his own championship belt that he put an X on because he said he never lost it. Then he got fired because he threatened the owner, which is not a smart thing to do for anybody. And then, like, your main guy is a young, you know, one of the pillars, MJF, and I think that's fantastic. I think the whole Adam Cole thing could have actually, I think this worked out better for not only him, but for MJF and also for Roger Strong, because I think if Adam Cole would have been healthy, the whole Roger Strong angle wouldn't have gone as far as it had. They're dragging out the whole devil thing, and they're, you know, what they're doing with MJF having to either find a tag team partner for the ROH titles, or, you know, figure out if he's going to team with Samoa Joe or not, or even just defend him on his own. So that whole storyline is very interesting, but there's too many webs for that one, because you also have a Wardlow situation where Wardlow wants to come after MJF, but he's saying, well, whenever on his time. But MJF is also now injured, but he's going to defend the title. So everything's just super kind of vague and convoluted, and I'm hoping everything actually does get the proper ending that it's supposed to.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about MJF's storyline per se, because MJF is a star on his own.
Sure.
He's a good heel. He's a good fucking babyface heel. I don't know what the fuck he's doing right now, but it's hilarious. Everybody's like, got people feeling sorry for him like a babyface, but he's a complete jackass. And I see right through his whole, right, he's still a heel. And he's just like, he's crying at press conferences and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is the biggest heel thing ever, trying to get these people to feel sorry for him. And they're like, oh yeah, he's a babyface now. No, he's not. He's definitely not. But I'm not worried about MJF's heel. It's just like, good got Samoa Joe kind of in the mix in there to help elevate MJF some more. That's where that should be. And there's just other places where you have other bigger stars that you're just not using in the right aspect. Even with your own AEW people that you're just not utilizing that. Right. You got to try to make stars out of these people, and they got to have them step up, but it's just not currently happening at the moment where the direction what the other people are going.
Yeah, I'm curious how things are going to pan out. And then, like, he bought Ring of Honor, but what's he really doing with Ring of Honor? Like, literally, as we're recording, next Friday is Final Battle, and there's 2 matches announced, and they just happen to be announced this past week. And no idea what's happening with the world title, because that world title is wrapped up with their tournament, with their round robin tournament they're doing right now. So that's probably not going to be defended. Tag titles probably aren't going to get defended because MJF is one of the holders. The 3-way or the 6-man tag probably not going to be defended because Gates of Agony are in the, well, I guess it could be back over here in time because they're part of World Tag League right now over in Japan. And
yeah, I thought they
women's title, yeah, oh, they're doing fantastic. I think they need to stay in Japan or do more things in Japan, because what they're doing works better in Japan than it does over here in America, and I love it. I've enjoyed every bit of watching them over there.
Yeah, Gates of Agony is really good. Totally Leon is an old powerlifter like I was. Big, crazy, strong dude, so he's cool. Khan's a good look. So Japan's a good deal for them. But, yeah, with the Ring of Honor thing, I don't know, man. It's just, Athena's been doing great stuff, but she hasn't been on TV, which is crazy to me that she's had like the women's title run for Ring of Honor, and it's not even being showcased on TV like it should be. That's crazy to me. But Taylor, Keith Lee is going to be a great match and shit too, but yeah, it's just so you got all these good stars that you're just not utilizing. And Swerve's great. They got Swerve is another good one that they're doing stuff with. But again, I just see MJF and Swerve